And then more brake lights showing up between Midvale and South Salt Lake. And Mountain View Corridor always has the backups trying to get to 3500 South in West Valley. Andy.
Well, they just cleared a crash from southbound 15 at the 215 split in North Salt Lake. Now, there really wasn't much of a delay from it. It was more of an inconvenience than anything else, but it's now completely gone. So you're heading from Ogden to downtown Salt Lake City. You've got only a 30-minute travel time, so you're back to good shape as far as that goes. It is a little busy still on Foothill between 21st South and 17th South and 13th South, that stretch. And then I-80, we've got a crash eastbound at the Quarry, but thankfully that one is also over on the right shoulder. So the drive to Park City still only taking you about 15 minutes. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Well, your weather today, it's going to be 66 for a high we're looking at today, plus 74 or 75 Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we're back to the 60s and high 50s through the rest of the week. It's 46 degrees and sunny right now in Salt Lake.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. 20,000 people gathered in the Huntsman Center at the University of Utah last night to see Senator Bernie Sanders along with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The crowd chanted and cheered as Sanders made his message clear.
We do not want a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We want a government that represents all of us, not just the 1%.
He criticized the Trump administration and the billionaires who attended his inauguration, including Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez also claimed Utah's lawmakers helped pass bills the Trump administration has used to cut Medicare and veteran benefits, all to give billionaires a tax break.
They know that it hurts working families from Utah, but they know that they are not there to serve the working class.
The pair encouraged Utahns to get involved and work with grassroots organizations. Salt Lake City was the 8th stop on their continuing tour. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Stocks are rallying worldwide after President Donald Trump relaxed some of his tariffs for now. The S&P 500 jumped 1.5% Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 441 points, and the NASDAQ composite rose 2% after opening. Apple, Nvidia, and other big technology companies led the way after Trump temporarily exempted smartphones, computers, and some other electronics from some of his stiff tariffs. Now, your money at this moment, the Dow is actually up 478 points, which is 1.2% to 40,691. Coming up, we've still got a couple of slow spots, but some nicer weather today, a little warmer than yesterday. Traffic and weather together coming up next. KSL News Time is 9:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you suffer from depression? The Department of Psychiatry at the University of Utah is currently seeking people between the ages of 18 and 65 who have depression to take part in a comprehensive treatment study. The goal of this study is to see if 2 naturally occurring supplements will improve depression in people living at higher altitudes. Participants will take the supplements for 8 weeks, and the study lasts 12 weeks in total. Participants must already be taking an SSRI or an SNRI medication for at least 8 weeks. Compensation will be provided to study participants. Again, if you are between the ages of 18 and 65 and suffer from depression that hasn't responded to usual antidepressants, the University of Utah is conducting a study that may help. For more information or to take part, please call 801-581-3475 or visit altitudedepressionstudy.com. That's 801-581-3475 or altitudedepressionstudy.com.
Spring fever is heating up and Motorsportsland's Markdown Madness event is just beginning. Don't miss your chance to save big on your dream RV. Now through April 26th, score unbeatable deals on Utah's best RV selection. New travel trailers from $5 a day, fifth wheels from $14, and motorhomes starting at just $35 a day. With no hidden fees, just upfront pricing and a low-pressure buying environment. And mark your calendar for RV University, April 26th. Free seminars led by top manufacturers and our expert team. Seating is limited, so reserve your spot now at motorsportsland.com. For over 55 years, families have trusted Motorsportsland for honest pricing, flexible financing, expert service, and the best parts inventory in Utah. Markdown Madness ends April 26th, so come into a Motorsportsland RV Center today and let us help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines. UtahUtilityPro.com.
Let's get another check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. And check in with Heather Kelly.
We've got some delays on the collector ramp that's northbound I-15 moving through Sandy and Midvale. It's not the main flow of I-15. It's that collector that'll take you over to the I-215 South Interchange. Haven't heard of a crash in that area, but that's unusual this time of the morning. You still have the delays in Utah County northbound I-15 through Linden from an earlier crash, and now we're picking up slowdown southbound in American Fork, so you want to use caution there. The earlier crashes we had, I-15 southbound in North Salt Lake and in Parley's Canyon, have cleared. Break your routine and into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connected to nature, Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now. Today will be sunny, but not as hot as over part of the weekend. Highs will be in the mid-60s. Right now, it's mostly sunny and 46 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
145% tariff on China, on goods from China. And this weekend, the president announcing, that doesn't apply to smartphones. Yep, there is now a carve-out. We're going to talk about it. And Dave does not think it's a good thing.
You can't have it both ways. You can't go on the campaign trail and sing the praises of the tariff. It's the most beautiful word. It's the most beautiful word in the English dictionary. You cannot sing the praises of tariffs. And then once you put the tariffs in place, you start carving out all of your buddies or all the big businesses that have enough of a lobby to get you to carve it out. And that's exactly what happened here. Smartphones, largely built in China, all of a sudden get a carve out because we all start freaking out and thinking, oh, I can't have the latest iPhone 16 Pro Max. Oh, okay, then we'll give that one a pass.
Well, we just talked about it. Nobody is going to pay $3,500, potentially, if that's what it ended up being for the price tag under this tariff plan. But these tariffs have gone from, 10% in February to 40 some odd, and now 104%, and then as of last week, 145%. I feel like he's feeling the pressure. He's feeling the pressure from these major companies, and these major companies being companies like Apple, being companies that, in our tech sector, computer companies, computer manufacturers, they will not be able to sell their products. They just won't be able to sell their products here because we will not be able to afford not only the high price of that, but the prices of other things that are going to likely go up because of it. I think he's feeling a tremendous amount of pressure. I wonder if this is the beginning of him carving out his own off-ramp to get out of this messy situation that the stock market says is messy. The stock market is sending a message. Investors are sending a message. This is messy. It's clear from the last couple of days, Dave, that investors are not in love with these tariffs. And then he rolls back the tariffs on smartphones and other electronic devices. And look what happens at the stock market today. It goes up and up and up.
It's frustrating because when I see these carve-outs happen, it's just reason 9,000 that the big guys will always be the big guys. If you want to put tariffs and you want to return manufacturing to America, then give us a heartbeat to start manufacturing in America. Let's see, is there some ingenious business model where someone can figure out how to put together iPhones here in America for the same price as they can in China? Well, we'll never know because the tariffs are in place for 37 minutes before they reverse course.
It sounds like you're being a champion for the mom and pop business.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't have the lobby back in D.C. To knock on the front door of the White House and say, this is how it's going to impact my business. Just to import items, maybe they're wholly manufactured in China, and they don't have the capacity to get out there in 5 days and find a manufacturer here in the United States to make their product on the home front. And now they're stuck paying the tariff on the products they're importing. And so now the price goes through the roof. They can't even afford the import. They can't even afford to bring it here. It sounds like you are standing up for the little guy.
My two best friends run a little mom and pop shop, right? They sell some ties and suits. They sell them at a very reasonable price. But they don't know what's going on. They came to me, Dave, what's going on? Give us an idea. What's going on with the tariffs? I'm like, buddy, I don't know. It's going to change in the next 5 minutes. But you think these guys that are running out of their garage ties and suits, you think they have the ear of anybody? Do you think they have any influence whatsoever? Sure, Apple can do this. They've got $1 trillion in cash. Right? They have all the money in the world. They're one of the biggest companies in the world. So they get a carve out. But what about my buddies that are running their little business out of their garage? Who's standing up for them? Who's protecting them? And again, you can swallow some of the reasoning behind tariffs if it truly is leveling the playing field, if everyone is affected, everyone's playing by the same rules. But as soon as you start carving out this huge company and that huge company and this and that, then you're sticking it to the little guy.
Well, I'm not sure there are a lot of businesses that would survive with a 145% tariff out of China if that's where they brought their products in from. I can't imagine the price tag on that. And it has gone up overnight. It has gone up. And how do you plan for that? And will it hurt? And how many businesses will it hurt? Derek Miller, President and CEO of the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce, live on the line with us. Good morning, Derek.
So good to be with both of you.
Great to talk to you on this Monday after the announcement was made that the tech sector, smartphones, computer hardware, memory chips will at least temporarily get a reprieve from these 145% tariffs. But Dave and I talking about how this impacts our small businesses, particularly how will it affect small businesses who don't get those carve-outs here in Utah, Derek?
It's an important question because Utah businesses, 99% of them are small businesses. So this is important to our state's economy. And not only that, but so many of those small businesses are actually exporters. It may surprise you to learn that Utah is a top 10 exporting state. It would not surprise you to learn we are not on a seaport, and the Great Salt Lake doesn't count. So when you think about a state in the middle of the Rocky Mountains exporting to the extent of being top 10 in the nation, it means that not only are small businesses important to us, but trade is really important to us.
Derek, what do small businesses do when you look at these kind of tariffs and you see the influence that big companies have and they start getting these little carve-outs? Is there anything that protects the little guy?
Well, there's three things that every business needs of any size, and they are stability, certainty, and predictability. And what we've seen over the last couple of weeks with regards to tariffs is certainly none of those three things. We don't have the stability, we don't have the certainty, and we don't have the predictability with this whiplash that we've seen as on again, off again tariffs. The other thing I would mention, particularly about small businesses, is that they're not able to absorb the cost like a big business could. So when you think about the inputs that they get from whatever country they get them so that they can make whatever it is that they make, they are every day working hard just to keep their head above water. And so even the slightest increase in costs can be devastating.
Do you fear that 145% tariff, and in some cases, I'm reading in the New York Times, it might be more depending on what the import is and how the math works out, could put small Utah businesses out of business?
What we really need to do to help these Utah businesses is to help them find, especially in the short term, time is of the essence. Most small businesses have a little bit of inventory, but not a lot of inventory, so they can get by for a few weeks, maybe a few months. But what President Trump has said he's trying to do is to get more U.S. companies making more in the U.S., get more U.S. consumers buying more from U.S. companies, and getting more foreign companies buying more from U.S. companies, or balancing out the trade deficit. Those are all great goals. Whether it can be done or not is anyone's guess. But what it means for us as a state, as a government, as a private sector, we've got to be able to pivot quickly to help more Utah companies find domestic suppliers and new supply chains. And so there was a time that we would focus, for example, trade missions on helping Utah businesses go and find suppliers outside of the U.S. Now what we need to do with regards to trade missions is do more domestic trade missions. We need to start helping these Utah companies find U.S. suppliers, and we need to, if we are taking foreign trade missions, make sure that they're focused on finding consumers, customers, and not necessarily suppliers.
Derek, that's such a great point, and I think that speaks to how difficult it is to change production. Obviously, if you're looking at China, 145% tariff, and then you have perhaps Cambodia, Vietnam, some other producer that only has a 10% tariff, can you maybe walk us through why it's not just a flip of the switch, easy to switch your production lines from one country to another?
Well, it is very difficult, but if there is a silver lining or some good news in that, is we already saw this shift start to happen in the first Trump administration. In the world of international business, we had what we called ABC approach, which is anywhere but China, meaning we knew that President Trump and his administration was focused on China because of the huge trade deficit, because they're not a fair dealer. I mean, everyone should understand that. They don't operate under the same rules that the rest of the world does, and they are not engaged in fair trade. So you saw that happening with a lot of U.S. and Utah companies already, where they were moving production to places like Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, Mexico. But then the problem is that then we saw President Trump in his second administration say, well, we're not just going to hit China with these tariffs, we're going to hit Mexico and Vietnam and the Philippines with these tariffs. So it sort of left businesses with this question of, well, where else can I go? And
exactly.
That's the problem that they're dealing with right now.
Derek, thank you so much for joining us. Derek Miller, President and CEO of the Salt Lake Chamber.
Well, even at those lower tariff rates for these other countries, you're as a small business, I would imagine as a small business owner, you would be wondering, well, what if he implements a higher tariff in that particular country after I've moved all of my production over? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. We are going to be taking live phone calls in just the next couple of minutes. We're talking about this because over the weekend, the administration, the White House, announcing a carve-out from the China tariffs, the tariffs on China products, is specifically regarding smartphones and computer hardware. memory chips. So smartphones get an exemption, at least for now. They get a carve out. But if you're the mom and pop business who's selling ties, like you talked about, Dave, you don't get a carve out. Do you think that's fair? Or does that sound completely unfair? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK.
What makes it so miserable is we've seen this playbook fail here in this country before. And I will say carve-outs and taxes. It's a perfect time to talk about it because tomorrow is the last tax day, right? We have to have everything filed by midnight tomorrow. But this is exactly what we've done with our tax code. Is there is carve-out after carve-out after carve-out. It's impossible to figure out what qualifies, what doesn't qualify, what can I deduct, what can't I deduct. We have a million different carve-outs in our tax code to the point that we will spend hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars to an expert to hold our hand and walk us through taxes because we can't keep track of all the carve-outs. If we can't do it on our tax level, how are we supposed to do it with international trade? It's the danger of the carve-out. It's the danger of, hey, I'm going to take care of my buddy over here that donated to my campaign or whatever it is. It is so rife with potential corruption and unfairness, I can barely even see straight.
Well, I feel like the president had no choice but to do it with smartphones. I hear exactly what you're saying, Dave, but he had no choice. I mean, millions and millions of Americans rely on smartphones. And not just for all those apps that we've downloaded. We actually use it to call, like, for emergency services. Like when I was stuck on the side of a major freeway a week and a half ago, I needed it to call, 911. So no one can afford a smartphone that's more than double the cost. Not to say that's exactly what it would have worked out to be. We don't know. But with 145% tariff on something that we use in an emergency seems like completely impossible for Americans to purchase. So I think he had no choice with that. As for small businesses, though, it is unfair. It's unfair because you don't have the lobby, you don't have the contacts, you don't have the voice that some of these larger companies have. Let's face it, and you also don't have the capital to absorb higher tariffs. And it's not just 10%. We're talking in some cases like 145, let's just call it 150% tariff. So the cost of importing a product is going to be more than the actual amount of product you're importing. Think of that. If you're importing $100,000 worth of goods, you mark that up 145%. And that's that's the extra money you have to come up with in a scramble. I think what we're going to see happening, Dave, is we're going to see American-run businesses start to come up with ways to sustain their business, and that will mean not selling products in America. So if they're manufacturing products out of China, they are going to search for other retail outlets that they can sell in, like, for example, Australia, Taiwan. Wherever they can export to that isn't going to charge them 145% tariff. So we're going to have American-run small businesses that are not going to be selling their products in America. That's what I think is going to happen.
Which I think is an unsustainable business model because we are the absolute biggest consumers in the world and it's not even close. Our economy is 4 times that of China, despite the fact that China has 4 times the number of people. We have an enormous economy. We're the biggest consumers in the world. So it is absolutely unsustainable in my mind to have to carve out and not sell here in America. So if we're looking at that being the solution, it's an unrealistic solution in my opinion.
You think my idea is not going to work?
I
think it's their only way out. How do they get out of this? If they can't come up with $200,000 as a small business, for example, to import the goods from China, they're not bringing them here anyway because they can't afford to get them off the port. So they're not going to be shipping them here. They've got to come up with other ways of doing this.
I think what has got to be so frustrating for the small business is when it arrives in port, to your point, big businesses can absorb some of this. And all of a sudden, your items are sitting in port and it's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than you expected to get it out of the port. Small businesses don't carry that kind of cash. When you're looking at Apple, they have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash that is liquid, where they can pay the difference. They can pay it to get it into the state. For a small business, if it isn't an extra $10,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 to get their items in, they may not have that cash on hand. They don't run flush with hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash.
Well, that's why I suggested, and maybe I planted a seed in some minds of some small business owners, is if you can and you have the capability of looking to other countries, maybe that's something you do. When one door closes, another one opens. Straight ahead, Dave's got another beef.
It's Cranky Dave Monday. Welcome to Cranky Dave Monday. I just did my taxes.
Yeah, and that's exactly what his beef is all about. How much it cost him to DIY his federal and state income taxes. He'll tell us what he paid and all about his gripe next.
Make the most of spring and summer with Apex Shed Company. Looking for the best storage solutions in Utah? Warmer days are here, and there's no better time to upgrade your backyard with a high-quality shed, greenhouse, chicken coop, or custom storage space from Apex Shed Company. Spring and summer savings are on, and tell them you heard this ad and take 5% off any shed, saving you up to $500. Perfect for organizing your tools, expanding your garden, or creating the ultimate backyard getaway. With over 30 years of experience, Apex Sheds take pride in crafting durable, beautifully designed sheds built to last. Just check out their glowing Google reviews. Enjoy the sunshine without the clutter. Visit apexshedcompany.com or call 801-754-3334 today. Apex Shed Company. Nobody builds a better shed. Hurry, this offer won't last forever. More details at apexshedcompany.com.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Spring is the perfect time to refresh your home, and Zero-Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is here to help. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, plus a free hallway for just $119. And for a whole home refresh, take 20% off upholstery cleaning. Unlike traditional cleaners, Zero-Res uses patented ZR water, a powerful cleaning solution that lifts dirt and grime without harsh chemicals or detergents. That means your carpets and upholstery stay cleaner, longer, and dry in hours, not days. It's safe for kids, pets, and the environment. Plus, every cleaning comes with the Zero-Res Gotta Love It guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, Zero-Res will re-clean for free within 30 days. Don't miss out on these limited time offers because spring cleaning starts now. Get started today at Zerores.com and mention KSL to lock in your deal. That's Zerores.com.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. The Jazz sold out their last game of the season on Friday, and in fact, it was their 333rd consecutive sold-out game. ESPN.com lists the Jazz as the number 15 team for the most home game attendance in the entire NBA, despite the Delta Center's comparatively small capacity. Head of membership for the Utah Jazz, Tamua Tavana, says it's something to be proud of.
It's rare for an NBA team, and I think it just speaks to kind of the community at large and the fandom that runs deep here in Utah for the Jazz.
Tavares has been part of the Jazz organization for 9 years and says there's a consistency and a passion with the fan base here in Utah, whether the Jazz are winning or losing. Well, the season is officially over for the Jazz, and they can officially say they had the worst record in the NBA this year. But their record does guarantee them a top 5 pick in this year's NBA draft. Jazz head coach Will Hardy spoke after their final game of the season yesterday.
The situation that we're in is one that, I'm excited about. I think helping grow these young players is our best path forward.
While the Jazz will pick no worse than 5th, they only have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. They'll learn for sure where they'll be picking in the NBA draft lottery on May 12th. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 258 points. That's a little lower than it was earlier this morning, but it's still over 40,000 at 40,472. Coming up, warm weather today. We got some possible rain later in the week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time is 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Time once again for Traffic and Weather Together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Heather Kelly?
We still have a bit of congestion trying to get out of Saratoga Springs on Pioneer Crossing. That's all heading eastbound toward I-15, but no delays anymore on I-15, whether you're north or south in Utah County or heading into the Salt Lake Valley. Davis County also at good speeds. If you do see something on the roadway we haven't mentioned, please let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Little Spring Water, give your employees something they can enjoy day to day. Family-owned bottled water right from a spring canyon in Bear Lake. Visit littlespringwater.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, not as hot as the weekend, but it will be sunny. Highs will reach the mid-60s. Right now, though, it is fair, but only 48 degrees, although that's a couple of degrees in the last half hour that we've gotten warmer. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Tax day is tomorrow. So if you're a procrastinator, you have been told. And Dave's got a beef with how much it cost him to DIY his taxes this year.
I'm the one doing all the work. How in the world do I have to pay $238 to do all the work? If I were to hire somebody to do some electrical downstairs, and I hire them, and then I do all the work, is it fair to hand them the cash? Because I did all the work? I don't know how in the world we've created this tax system where it's so complicated that we have to spend hundreds of dollars to do our taxes.
So now that you're all fired up about it, tell us, what happened? Why did it cost you so much money?
Okay, first of all, I've used TurboTax ever since I started doing my taxes. As soon as my wife and I were married, I started doing my taxes. I've used TurboTax. I'm as loyal as can be. I mean, I put a ring on it, and I have been I've honored that relationship from the beginning. It started off at $29, and then it went up to $39, $49. Well, it's been creeping up over the years. When I was doing it this year, I've got boring taxes. I've got very simple taxes. I work, my wife works. We have a little bit of income that comes in through a brokerage account, right? So a little interest, whatever our 3.25% is. And then I had a little side hustle. I did a little voice work. I made a few $100s. I made $600. And I had to buy the super duper premium deluxe version of TurboTax that cost, again, I don't know if anyone's caught this number, $238. I'm cranky about it.
How much did you pay in years past? I have no context for
okay,
this.
Okay, so no, it's
I hear the $238, but how has
a little over $100?
So $100 more.
I've done
than
it
years
for
past.
free.
Okay.
And I've done it for $100, kind of depending on what projects I had going on, what little side hustles I've been working. So at the most I've ever paid is a little over $100. So this year I jumped up an extra $100. I basically doubled the cost. Because a side hustle I did gave me a 1099 NEC. You ever received a 1099 NEC?
I don't know.
Folks,
yeah.
Do you have any idea? Did you know there are 21 different 1099 forms? And depending on which 1099 form you receive is which version of TurboTax that you need. And my 1099 NEC apparently just became so outrageously complicated because of that $600 that they're like, well, Dave, you're not only going to need the deluxe version, you're going to need the super duper uber deluxe version.
That's what it's officially called. No,
I think that's the word. I think that's the name of it.
Not. But what you're saying
Premium.
is that you had to pay for a more like a premium package.
Yes.
Okay, so $238.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Johnston, our producer, you did your own taxes too. You DIY'd your taxes. How much did you pay to do your taxes?
$14.99.
Wait,
$1,499?
No, $14.99, and it was just for the state fee, I guess.
Caitlin, you're dead to me.
I'm sorry, I didn't know,
Our
but I had a
relationship
choice.
is over. $14.99?
Yeah, I normally go to a CPA, but I decided to try it this year.
Okay, so $14.99 total for federal and state taxes.
Yeah, and I didn't owe anything. That was just the fee that I had to pay. So, and it was just the state. The federal part of it was free, I guess.
How did you get away with a $14.99 fee to do your taxes?
I tried Free Tax USA. Because it became recommended by other people. I looked at TurboTax too, but it looked more expensive. And so, yeah, I just tried it, and I was pleased with the experience.
So how did you know that Free Tax USA was a route to go down? Did you research it?
I researched it. My friend told me to do it. My brother had used it. So I went through a couple of people who had already tried it and submitted theirs. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. Because I have somewhat complicated taxes normally, but this year I didn't have a lot of income from my videography business that I do. So I decided I wanted to try it myself. And it was scary, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that there was no more of a fee than that. It really was kind of Free Tax USA.
Is this like an IRS website?
It's
what is
just
this?
a website, Free Tax. It's similar to
Free Tax.
TurboTax. It's like a software that you just go through the steps and it walks you through everything. I
Okay.
don't know if it's as advanced as TurboTax. Like I had to do a lot of manual stuff, but it was fine.
What do you mean by manual stuff?
Well, I think that you can import PDFs for a lot of your forms. Like it wouldn't automatically import the 1099 I had, but it imported just my like W-2 or whatever that form is called, if I said that correctly. But yeah, so I did have to go in and type everything. And I don't know if it's more simple on TurboTax, but it wasn't that hard.
No, I had to type in my stuff as well.
Okay, well then I don't know, Dave. But
No.
I will say going to a CPA it also requires work on your end to get everything organized, and if you have expenses to track that, that's part of the stress that comes with it. They just type it in and make sure they don't put it in the wrong box, essentially.
So I'm the odd woman out here. I went to a tax preparer this year, and I've gone to a tax preparer / CPA since I've been doing my taxes. So I'm going on, 38, 39 years. I have never even considered TurboTax, Free Tax, what is it called, Caitlin?
Free Tax USA.
Free Tax USA. And I'll tell you why. Because if I get audited, have been audited in the past, everything turned out fine, I want somebody on Team Deb. Now, I don't want to be like, well, it was my significant other sitting there next to me as I submitted all of these forms, all due respect to significant others. But when I go haul my boxes into the IRS building to endure the audit, I really want somebody with some letters behind their name who I can lean on if something goes wrong. Now, Caitlin, did you get your tax refund?
Yes, I got the federal one. I haven't checked if I got the
So
state
it
yet.
seems
But
to have worked.
yeah. It
just
worked
fine.
It ended up in my account like 2 days later. So
and what do you think, Dave, of me paying some? Caitlin got hers for $14.99. I paid hundreds of dollars. I want to say in the neighborhood of $650 just for my return. And again, my return is not that complicated. It's pretty straightforward. But this is just kind of, I've always paid $400, $500, $600.
Cost of doing business, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Cost of
so
having
this
somebody on Team Deb.
someone is definitely on Team Deb. Nobody's on Team Dave with this, by the way, because I turned down every upgrade I could. They're like, hey, would you like audit protection? We'll take care of everything. That's going to be an additional, I can't remember, $40, $50, $60. I said no to that. I was saying no to everything. I was trying to just get the bare bones, and it just cost me far more than I expected. Now, here's my frustration. You paid $600, I paid $250, and Caitlin pays $15. And our taxes probably aren't radically different, right? You're not running some offshore company in the Cayman Islands. We all make money. We may have a little side hustle, maybe something from the investments. And all three of us are like, well, what's my comfortability factor? I haven't tried other tax preparing softwares because I'm comfortable with TurboTax.
Yeah, you're a creature of habit.
As you are with your CPA or your tax. And we're like, you know what? I just don't want to deal with it. That's what's so frustrating about taxes, and where I think it is so wrong. It is so complicated that I have no more confidence in my $238 as you do in your $15 and your $600. We're all like, well, I hope I don't get audited. I still hope I don't get audited.
Do you hire it out or DIY your taxes? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. We're going to take live calls straight ahead on this day before tax day.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Get a head start on the warmer months ahead with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Yes offers licensed technicians and an exceptional service guarantee to give you peace of mind and help prevent expensive breakdowns. Ensure your system is working at peak efficiency and help save money on energy costs with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions. Just say yes.
You know when you're racing into the store and someone interrupts you with a petition and you just sign it so you can move on? Stop. Don't sign it. Unions are trying to overturn a law that protects our kids. By signing, you're supporting handing over your tax dollars to big unions so they can push their radical agenda into classrooms. Stop the unions. Stand for kids. Tell your friends and family, decline to sign the union petition. Utah Parents United paid for this ad, not authorized by any political issues committee.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
I don't DIY my taxes. I haven't my entire adult life. I pawn them off to a tax preparer. Sometimes a CPA, but I've flipped back and forth. Just somebody with who will be there for me in the moment if or when I get audited. I don't feel comfortable doing my own taxes. As a result, I pay $650. I paid as high as $1,000 to do my taxes during tax season. It's just the price of doing business. Dave, on the other hand, has a beef because
$238. I have some of the most boring taxes known to man, but I had a little side hustle this time around, this year. Everyone's got a little side hustle, but this side hustle produced a 1099 NEC. Never seen a 1099. In fact, I had to Google how many 1099 forms are there. There are 21 1099 forms. I'd never seen the NEC before. But for some reason, this one 1099 took me from free tax prep software to, not deluxe, to the premium tax software. And I had to pay $238 for the honor.
I want the wah, 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 wah.
I made $600 on this little side hustle.
Yeah, that's what ends up happening.
And it jumped up to $238 in tax prep software.
We're taking your live calls. Do you hire out your taxes? You have somebody else do it like I do? Or are you like Dave? Do you DIY it? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Heather Kelly in from the traffic center. You're talking all about taxes. You also host a money podcast here for KSL.
Yes. So I have done my taxes on my own, the DIY, for 20 years because I refuse to pay money for something, especially when it's simple. Now, I don't know what complications you might have, Debbie. Sometimes it is worth it. I say hey, if you need to, if you've got, a lot of different investments going on and you feel that your tax preparer can get you more money back than what their fee is as well,
Yeah.
Always worth it.
None of the above for me. It's just a comfort zone.
Just comfort zone.
Right, it's a comfort
and that's
zone.
fine. You know what? And if you can afford it, great. But I am a cheapskate. I refuse to pay out even the $15 for the state. You can actually, once you file your federal for free, there's a multitude of free federal websites that you can go to and file. Once you fill it all out, you use all that information. You can go to, here in Utah, the Utah State website and fill out the state tax reform, or you can fill out in pencil, but nobody does that anymore. So you can actually do it on the website.
How long did it take you to do your taxes?
20 minutes.
Heather, I paid for the honor to take an hour and a half. That's what I did.
Well, now here's the thing. Now I used to, back in the day, about 15 years ago, I would fill out my federal on 5 different free file websites to see which one would give me the most refund back, because they do vary. You would be surprised, and it wasn't by like $5. Some of it was $150 difference between the different
So you were
sites.
shopping it around
I
using
was shopping
free.
it around, and now I'm with the one that for me gives me the message.
So Heather Kelly, host of our Money Making Sense podcast here at KSL News Radio, walk us through the different websites that are available that people can use for free that you have used or that you can verify are like legitimate websites, Heather.
Right. So we've got, here are just a few. You've got taxact.com, fileyourtaxes.com, 1040 now.
1040 now. Okay.
NOW, yeah. The Free Tax Act USA that we've talked about.
Free Tax USA?
Yeah.
Free Tax
Free Tax USA. Sorry.
Okay.
There's, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget now. There's one that's like 1040.net, which is similar to the 1040 now, but they're a little bit different.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll compile all these. Our digital team will put them out there at kslnewsradio.com because there's a lot of last minute
yes.
Procrastinators who are trying to get their taxes done today and tomorrow.
Right. And just one thing to know, even though all of these websites for federal are free, if you want to do your state, file your state through them, they will charge you that $15, all of them.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Expertise. You can figure this out. It's a little intimidating for me. But, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Let's jump out to Jake in Magna. Jake, what do you do?
So I go Debbie's route. I've never been audited, and I have no reason to be fearful of an audit, but we've been using a CPA for the last 4 years, and she's been amazing. And to be honest, I've paid the same cost you have, Dave, for your private filing at the same cost of what I do with her. The reason why I go this route, though, is because, I mean, if we were to talk 10 years ago about how long the tax code is, then it was 1 million words. Now it's a 10 million word code document, and 2.4 million words pertains to the Internal Revenue Code, and 7.7 million words is the federal tax regulations. And I think that's the reason why I do it, is just because the system has become egregiously complex to the point I think we definitely need to simplify.
Yeah, I get scared just thinking about gathering up my documents. That's how complicated I feel the process is. We got a call from Ogden as well, Dave.
Kate, what do you use and how do you go about your taxes?
Okay, I do Debbie's route because I want the comfort zone. And I talked to Caitlin, and I don't know. She told me not to tell the name of where I go, but I pay about $150.
Well, you're gonna tell the name to Caitlin when we put you back on hold, so I can get the name. She said she got it from you, Kate, because I've always paid hundreds of dollars, hundreds.
I paid $100. I paid $150, I believe, last year, but and they did it, and they're on my team, and you know them. But so that's all I'm going to say. Other than I was going to say their name, but you can decide whether you want to.
There you go.
So
I love that you have my pocketbook at heart, Kate, because I have been trying to find somebody that will do it for much less than what I'm paying, and I have been paying for a long time. But then tax season rolls around again, and I'm like, I haven't found anybody. I'll just go back.
Another frustration that I have is I had no idea how to do this. When I got out of college or in high school, there was never a course. We never talked about taxes. It was just throw you to the wolves, Dave. Like, go ahead, feed these wolves, stick your hands out there.
It's just like, and the hammer, the hammer that you face if you get it wrong.
For sure.
Right? It's not like sorry, you made a little mistake. I mean, my husband and I got 2 big manila envelopes in the mail. And it was like, you've got to come up with all this documentation. And we were well into our 30s by then. So we had life experience behind us. But I remember when we first started this, I was like, there's no way I'm going to take the risk of getting anything wrong. And by the way, I always reiterate, the audit was fine. Everything turned out well. But the hammer just feels like it's just, like it's huge. And felt like it was us against the government for a while there. Valerie in Layton, you think there's a lot of websites out there? Do you use any of them to do your taxes for cheap?
Yeah. Can I say the name?
Well, sure. And we'll just have our team verify it all. Val, just go ahead and put it out there.
Yeah, it's Free Tax USA. You can do as complicated as a return as you want. You can do a 1031 exchange. You can do businesses, and they just charge you $15 for the state. And I can tell you it's good software because a long time ago, I'd always done it with pencil and paper. And we moved, and I didn't know how to do the state return. And so I went and took a tax course on how to do taxes. And I ended up working professionally for 15 years. And now I volunteer for VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program.
You're amazing. You're amazing. That's amazing.
And get it done for free there. So,
would you like to volunteer with the Noriega family? Because the Noriega family is just drowning right now.
Valerie, I wonder, can you?
I would love to.
That's amazing. Valerie, what was that? What was the organization you work for?
VITA. It's the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. It's done through IRS. It's their assistance program.
Okay.
It does have a few stipulations, like on income. If you make too much money, they won't let you use it.
Sure.
But it's up there a ways, and they do most tax forms. They're not going to do a 1031 for you. But I also post online every year. I don't prepare them anymore. I'm a reviewer. I look them over. But I'll do that for anybody. I don't care. It doesn't have to be through VITA. So I enjoy what I do.
Valerie, it's phenomenal. Hold the line. We're going to get your phone number. Make sure Caitlin, our producer, has your phone number written down if we have follow-up questions or want to get you back on the air. Thanks for what you're doing.
She took a tax course.
That's amazing.
So smart. Yeah, I'm going to tell my kids, listen, you want to save hundreds and thousands of dollars over the years, learn, become proficient at doing your taxes.
Do yourself a favor, right? And understanding the process too helps remove some of the anxiety. It would certainly help remove my anxiety. I'll just speak for myself. Straight ahead, DoorDash offering a buy now, pay later option. So the question Dave had is, can we buy our Baconator combo meal and pay later? We'll answer that question next.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
If you're thinking about losing some weight, not quite sure how to do it, or you've tried it on your own without any success, you're not alone. We've all done this. We've all tried to lose that 10 or 15, 20 pounds, and then it's just hard to stay motivated. It's why I joined Salt Lake City Fat Loss. And when you pay for a program, and I paid for this program, I didn't get it for free. When I joined this program, paid for it, I will tell you the best thing about it, and the reason I would say to pay for it, it keeps you honest. It keeps you on the program because there's no way you're going to pay for it and then just start cheating left and right. Then when you stay on the program, you see incredible reductions. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. I was so happy, so excited with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. Did it without injections, did it without surgery. And right now, if you join, $200 off the program. So go ahead and reach out to them, schedule a consultation, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Howdy, folks. It's me again. And surprise, it's tomato frenzy time at J&J Garden Center in Layton. Right now, all large-sized tomato plants are only $2.99 each. That's half price and grown from seed right here at J&J. And while you're here, pick up a bag or two of J&J's private label all-purpose premium topsoil to help strengthen your vegetable garden for only $5.98 a cubic foot bag. So come to the Tomato Frenzy sale at J&J Garden Center in Layton, where they have the best products at the best price and the best employees, too. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home, J&J Garden Center.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Mother's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for moms and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. 20,000 people gathered in the Huntsman Center at the University of Utah last night to see Senator Bernie Sanders along with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The crowd chanted and cheered as Sanders made his message clear.
We do not want a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We want a government that represents all of us, not just the 1%.
He criticized the Trump administration and the billionaires who attended his inauguration, including Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez also claimed Utah's lawmakers helped pass bills the Trump administration has used to cut Medicare and veteran benefits, all to give billionaires a tax break.
They know that it hurts working families from Utah, but they know that they are not there to serve the working class.
The pair encouraged Utahns to get involved and work with grassroots organizations. Salt Lake City was the 8th stop on their continuing tour. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
The Trump administration appears prepared to fight the Supreme Court's ruling that they must facilitate the return of a wrongly deported man who remains jailed in an El Salvador prison.
Trump suggesting it's up to El Salvador to decide what happens to deported migrants. Trump saying these barbarians are now in the sole custody of El Salvador. Their future is up to President Bukele and his government. El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele visiting the White House today on a pre-scheduled visit.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is not up as high as it was earlier this morning, but it is still in the positive by 102 points to 40,315. Coming up, we start to warm back up. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988. Where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
Make Mother's Day easy this year and get the best gift ever, a blanket from Minky Couture. Minky Couture creates the amazingly soft, comfy, and cozy Minky blankets and robes. Just in time for Mother's Day, save 50% off any regularly priced Minky Couture blanket using promo code KSL50 at checkout. Shop online at minkycouture.com or visit your local Minky Couture for special neighborhood deals. Again, save 50% with promo code KSL50 in stores or online at minkycouture.com.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, there are no accidents reported anywhere across the Wasatch Front. We've got good speeds on I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties, both directions. No issues coming out of Tooele County on SR 36, I-80, or the 201 freeway. And if you want to head up into the mountains, Parley's Canyon is a great commute as well. GoPave Utah has 5-star reviews for asphalt, concrete, paving, and striping repairs. Schedule a free consultation today. GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com, GoPaveUtah.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, sunshine, and a high today of 66 degrees. Then it really warms back up with a high of 74 on Tuesday and 75 on Wednesday. But a cold front moves in Thursday with a chance of rain. Right now it's sunny and 48 degrees in Salt Lake City, 49 degrees in Ogden and Provo. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Dave, when I say 2 words, DoorDash, what do you think of?
Send me some food. I don't want to leave the comfort of my couch. Please, bring me my food.
So you think food delivery when you think DoorDash?
Yep.
Okay, now when I say 4 words, buy now, pay later, what do you think of?
Couches. Or like expensive, like an oven. Yeah, buy now, pay later. Yeah, I'll finance that thing.
Here's what we're going to talk about. And I'm getting this article off of today.com. There's also one in The Atlantic as well, and we'll sort through all of it. But the combination of DoorDash partnering with a buy now, pay later option. Now what do you think
on
of?
DoorDash?
On DoorDash.
So the $15 sandwich, chips, and a pickle, I'm going to put that on a payment plan?
We'll explore the exact answer to that question in just a moment.
Because that sounds crazy. Obviously, it's got to be
involved.
different than what I just described because that sounds crazy.
So what's happening is that there's this buy now, pay later option, and it's a partnership with a buy now. I'm going to say, was it BNPL is the acronym, BNPL, with a company called Klarna. And what you can do is there's 3 different options. So when you're ordering food over a certain amount of money, it's not that, $5 Happy Meal that you're thinking of from McDonald's.
Okay.
But when you order food over a certain dollar amount, we'll get to that in just a moment, you can either choose to pay in full. If you use Klarna, you can pay in full. So there's that option, right? You can pay in 4, where customers can pay for their purchase in 4 equal interest-free installments.
Wow.
And pay later, which means you can, that's the third option, which lets you defer your payments to another time.
That is so wild.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, I can understand. Buy now, pay later. Perhaps, you can't come up with $1,000 for the new stove. You need a stove. You can't cook food without it, so that you may want to be on a buy now, pay later plan. I never would have thought that buy now, pay later would ever apply to takeout, because that's what this is. I need some food delivery, DoorDash. We're going to bring the 2 together. I don't want to pay all up front, so go ahead and just we'll pay for it down the road.
How much do you think this would cost you in deferred payments? I mean, how much extra would you spend if you weren't keeping track of your spending on using these types of options?
I think that's the problem right there. I think it would be impossible to track. If you were using this with any regularity, like, how many payments do we have left for that Mugu Gaipan?
I think
how much is that?
I think deferred payments have always made me feel like I have more money than I actually do.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, they make me feel like
I can afford the $25.
Yeah.
4 easy payments.
It's out of sight, set aside, out of mind. The Atlantic mentions a study that shows using buy now, pay later puts us in a position of spending an extra $60 a week on average.
We lose track of what we're spending. We're thinking, I'll pay this on payday. Payday is 7 days away. We'll put it on a payment plan. So it's saying you're going to spend $60 more a week on average by using these buy now, pay later programs.
So I'm going to get back to this Today article online, because there's the social media has gone wild over this. One person said, you financed a $12.78 steak bowl from Chipotle? Another said, this is a recession indicator. I think they're onto something with that. I think when we're hurting for money or we're worried about recession, we try to find ways around how much we spend. This isn't really a way around it, but maybe it makes us feel better about ordering, our family, dinner and having it delivered via DoorDash. Here's another one. What do you mean you have $11,000 in DoorDash debt?
How did we get here? Payment plan after payment plan. We can't say no to ourselves. That's what this tells me.
Yeah.
More than anything, it tells me that we can't say no to ourselves.
Here's another online comment. I finally finished paying off my Starbucks drink from last year, so this is perfect.
That's pretty funny.
So
if it weren't so true.
Yeah. So there's been a response from Klarna, which is the buy now, pay later program that DoorDash has teamed up with. It says they're essentially clarifying what you can and can't do. It says the partnership gives DoorDash customers an easier way to pay up front with Klarna, pay in full, and spread the cost of larger purchases over $35 with Klarna's interest-free installment-based options. And they said especially important as DoorDash expands its offerings into electronics, big box retail, and gifts. So they're taking a bigger look to this, a bigger approach to this. It's not, DoorDash isn't just DoorDashing your burrito. It's actually expanding into delivering gifts, et cetera, et cetera. So anything over $35.
There is an argument to be made that DoorDash can play a crucial role in the way we live our lives. It's not just, I think, a luxury. If you use DoorDash and you use Uber, you may not have to own another car. Perhaps instead of being the 2-car family or the 3-car family, perhaps you can be a 1-car family. So I don't want to discount DoorDash or some of these programs.
How does that look, though, in real life? I guess you just get everything delivered and one person never leaves the home?
Yeah, I mean, in part, right? Yeah. I mean, if you only have one car and you have to have somebody, but when you start looking at the cost of a car, the cost of maintenance, insurance, gasoline, oil changes, new tires,
hundreds of dollars.
It's thousands and thousands of dollars a year. So if you can replace some of that and say, I don't need a second car, perhaps I don't need a third car, and I can just DoorDash some of these things, there is an argument to be made, and I think you could see that and say, yeah, okay, then it's worth paying this price. But far too often, I think we may have a car sitting right there in our driveway, but because we don't want to get out of our couch and my hand out of my popcorn bucket, I just DoorDash it and have them deliver it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, credit where credit's due. This is my take. Credit where credit is due. It's a great concept, and it's obviously it's working. Right? I mean, it's great concept, business design. It's working because people are using it. On the flip side of it, if you cannot get off your sofa to go pick up, and you have the wherewithal and the means to do it, and this is just out of pure, oh, please just drop it off at my front door. That to me seems I just couldn't have afforded that, and I have a feeling this is a lot of people in their 20s and 30s who are doing this. It is not, people in their 50s and 60s doing it as much. Can you look up the stats on that?
I'm looking. Yeah, as soon as you were saying it, I'm looking it up. Gen Z and millennials are the most frequent users. About 63% of young adults. So this is not grandma and grandpa that no longer have their driver's license.
And the reason I hesitate a little bit because I didn't want to use the word lazy, but I don't know another word. How in the world can you afford that? How can you afford that? And why are you justifying this, the use of this? And if you're using it frequently and complaining about the price of life, then you have to just take a look in the mirror and look at what you're spending, and you have to scale back. Again, I understand the business model is phenomenal, and it probably works for some people. In fact, it probably works for a lot of people. But if you are hurting for money in your 20s and 30s, to call up and DoorDash something just doesn't make any financial sense to me. That's my take.
I see this working for baby boomers, the older generations that perhaps have gotten to the point where they can't drive. Perhaps they're not as ambulatory, right?
I could say for people who have absolutely time driving.
I can look at that and say, what a great service. Like, that would be fantastic.
Well, even for people my age, I would say you need to be out of your house.
If
you're in your late 50s, your 60s, your 70s, and you can get out of your house, you need to be out of your house. You cannot sit in your home all day long and not make contact with other human beings. It's just, I think it's better for you to be out and about whenever possible. Doesn't mean every single day, doesn't mean all day long. But having everything delivered to your door at a price, and sometimes at a premium, whether it's Amazon deliveries or whether it's food deliveries, slow down. And this is just, extra money on top of the cost of the food, right? Because you got to pay for the delivery.
Yeah, and we've become addicted to delivery. Just in general, we love Amazon, we love Prime, and what's very interesting is there's a lot of delivery that does not cost us anything. Right? I can order from Amazon. I've got Amazon Prime. Sure, I pay the one-time fee, but I get all of my deliveries for free through Amazon. And I have food delivery through Walmart. And that's, I don't know, it has a fee as well. I can't even remember what it is at this point. But quite frankly, they deliver it and we don't even think about it. So we have become addicted to having stuff dropped off at our doorstep. And does it save us time? Without a doubt. There's no question. If you want to go get that burrito bowl, then you've got to stand up, get out, get in your car, drive there, pick it up, buy it, eat it, then bring it back, whatever it might be, you're 30 minutes into it. You're 45 minutes into it.
So Dave and I talking about this article. You can now use Klarna to finance your DoorDash order. And what it is it allows you to either, pay. You could pay it. There's like 3 different options if you order DoorDash, which is a food delivery. Well, and you can get other products delivered as well. It's not just food delivery. You can either pay in full. You can pay in 4, where you'll pay for your purchase in 4 equal interest-free installments, or there's the option of pay later, which will let users defer payments to another time. The issue I see with it is, first of all, you're spending a lot of extra money to get stuff delivered, although Dave brought up some great advantages to it, which is if you are homebound, you have a family member who's homebound, this would be a potential outlet for you to get food delivered to them or other items delivered to them. I would tend to agree with that. But as for me, this reminds me of the 1980s layaway program, where you would go, ever do that, Dave, when you're in your, where you would go find an item that you couldn't afford. In particular, I used layaway at Kmart. I think I was pretty much a frequent flyer at Kmart when I was, early 20s. Find an item I couldn't afford, and then I would walk it to a window at the back of the Kmart store, and I would put it on what's called layaway. And then they didn't charge interest for it, but I would come back once a week on payday or however the program worked, dollars toward that item. I think, if I recall, if you didn't make the payments, the item you picked out went back in the pile to get back into the inventory. So you maybe had a little bit of a grace period, but you risked losing the item to the big pile of inventory, in the back of the store, and then they would recycle it through. So there was incentive there to get yourself to the Kmart, to that little window, and make the payment every single week. What I loved about that is it was interest-free, and it gave me a chance, as somebody who didn't make any money, to be able to afford something that I couldn't afford, right? Because I just made it whenever I got paid. I'd go in there and make a payment. What I didn't like about that is I was buying an item I couldn't afford, right? I mean, I couldn't afford it, and I couldn't say no to myself. And don't ask me what overcame me in my 20s that I needed to have that shirt or that, whatever, that outfit so badly that I was willing to put it on a layaway, because chances are I'm sure it was just outdated by the time I was able to pay that thing off anyway.
I think layaway is the single greatest plan we ever had, and we should go back to it, because it was, I'm going to pay you in increments, a little bit at a time, but I'm not going to get the item until I have paid for it. So you're consciously making that decision over and over and over again that I want it, I want it, I want it. And right now, so often, we buy now, pay later. We buy it, we receive it, we're like, buyer's regret. That's silly. I shouldn't have spent money on that. The layaway program is asking you every single time you make that purchase, are you sure about it? Are you sure you really want it? And then after 2 or 3 or 4 payments and you purchase it, then you have made that decision, not spontaneously. You've made it over and over and over again. That's why I love the layaway program, and I can absolutely see why businesses would want to run away from that program as quickly as possible.
Here's a text at 57500 on our text line. It says, my friend has a teen and a 2-year-old and has her own business and gets DoorDash a lot because she needs food and doesn't have time to make or get dinner. I don't want to judge anybody's individual circumstance based on this text, so I'm going to set that aside and just say I worked full-time, had 3 kids, had a husband who was a police officer, 3 kids in school, doing all the sports. All 3 of them had a sport that they were involved with, which kept us super-duper busy. I was a news reporter. I managed to get dinner on the table almost every single night of the week. Now, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying my circumstances were pretty hectic. And I individually made sure that Mama had a meal plan every single week. It wasn't perfect. Friday nights were pizza nights. I actually went to Little Caesars Pizza, and I bought 2 $5 pizzas. I did not have them delivered because there was no delivery option and there was no such thing as a delivery service at the time. So I prioritized making meals at home, not because I had all the time in the world to do that. It was because financially we just couldn't afford. So maybe there's a little bit of me that has a little bit of envy for people who do that. But for me, I just couldn't justify it. You know, we were saving for the kids' college. We were make the house, just like everybody is.
Yeah.
We weren't special. It's just we were just trying to make ends meet just like everybody else. And I didn't see that as an option in our budget to order. Like we could order Domino's pizza and have it delivered, but there was a fee for that and a tip for that. So I went and got the pizza on Friday night. That's how I did it.
And it's a great way to do it, right? And it is doable. I think we've been kind of sold this bill of goods that, times have changed. We can't do that anymore. And when I'm looking at this DoorDash buy now, pay later program, it has some echoes of like the payday loans, right? I can't afford it right now. Payday's on Friday or perhaps, in 10 days from now. Well, I'll just pay for it then. And the dangers of it are so severe. You will spend, according to this research, $60 more a week than you would otherwise by using these buy now, pay later programs. That's $250 a month that you otherwise wouldn't be spending. It's because we get sucked into it. It's appealing. It's a good program. We love it. But when it becomes a treat versus when it becomes the standard, it's one thing if you do it every few months or once a. But no, we're doing this all the time.
Dave, I just thought of something my son recently said. My kids are grown now. They're all in their 20s. They're amazing. My son recently said we were at a family dinner. And speaking of me, making meals every single night of the week, at least that was the goal. Except for Friday nights were pizza nights. My son said, we did have a lot of chili.
Lots of chili, Ma. Lots of chili.
Yeah, I had my famous slow cooker chili recipe. And it was just like nothing. You serve chili over, you could serve it, in a bowl. You could serve it over baked potato. You could serve it with corn chips. You could serve it over hot dogs. Yeah. He's like, well, we did have an awful lot of chili.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part 1 in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Spring fever is heating up and Motorsportsland's Markdown Madness event is just beginning. Don't miss your chance to save big on your dream RV. Now through April 26th, score unbeatable deals on Utah's best RV selection. New travel trailers from $5 a day, fifth wheels from $14, and motorhomes starting at just $35 a day. With no hidden fees, just upfront pricing and a low-pressure buying environment. And mark your calendar for RV University, April 26th. Free seminars led by top manufacturers and our expert team. Seating is limited, so reserve your spot now at motorsportsland.com. For over 55 years, families have trusted Motorsportsland for honest pricing, flexible financing, expert service, and the best parts inventory in Utah. Markdown Madness ends April 26th, so come into a Motorsportsland RV Center today and let us help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Tomorrow is the signature gathering deadline for groups looking to overturn Utah's new law that bans collective bargaining for public sector employees, including teachers, police, and firefighters. The group organizing the petition needs to submit more than 140,000 signatures by tomorrow. If they meet the deadline, voters will decide whether the law stays or goes in November. The South Salt Lake Police Department is asking for help in finding a 12-year-old girl. Police say she left her home with a classmate Saturday afternoon. She was last seen wearing a navy blue Gap hoodie and a blue pajama pants with polka dots. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the police department. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump right now is meeting with El Salvador's president at the White House. Reporters asked both presidents about the immigrants being deported and sent to the mega prison in El Salvador.
The president said it better than anybody. He said, you have liberty and you have to have liberty, but to have liberty, not everybody is going to be good. And, some are bad because they're sick. They're mentally deranged, they're bad. Then you have to take them, if you're going to have a country, you're going to have to take those people out.
President Trump also talked about his tariffs, saying they're needed to make deals with other countries. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 0.25%, not as high as it was at its peak. It's regressed to about 100, right around 100 point in the positive, but it is still at 40,321. Coming up, warm and then maybe some water later in the week. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, let me tell you guys about Renaissance Ranch, because they want to help not just the person that is struggling, but with the entire family in general.
Yeah, and this is why they offer these free online classes. And these classes are open to anybody. You do not have to have a family member enrolled in Renaissance Ranch. This is just a community service to help people who have a loved one going through addiction, so you do not lose yourself in your loved one's addiction.
And these classes are taught for spouses, for parents. They come from a personal perspective. There's several support groups. There's a women's support group. There's a couples recovery group.
Yeah, and these, again, are free. You can take them from the comfort of your own living room, or maybe you're on a break from work and you can jump in your car, you can eat your lunch, and jump on one of these support groups. They'd love to have you.
They're faith-based and clinically proven for more than 20 years. Check out these free online classes, again, open to the public. Just go find out more at renaissanceranch.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We are accident-free right now all across the Wasatch Front, including city streets and the major freeways. No delays on I-15, the east or west side belt routes. From time to time, you do have a little bit of crowding on Bangerter Highway through the road construction zones and also getting onto the 201 freeway, but that's the only difficulty we have at the moment. And if you do see something we haven't mentioned, please let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should hit 66 today with plenty of sunshine. Tomorrow up to 74 and 75 by Wednesday. Right now it's sunny and 52 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Here's the headline on Fox News. A Maryland immigrant wrongly deported to El Salvador must return to the United States, Supreme Court rules. So this is the case of a father of three who was accidentally or wrongly deported to El Salvador a couple of weeks ago after he was stopped in a parking lot while bringing his son home. He picked up his son after work. He was returning home from work. Well, he ends up being deported to a prison, one of the most notorious prisons in the world in El Salvador.
ABC News has a description of what this prison is like.
Conditions are harsh. Lights on 24/7, 30 minutes of exercise per day, no visitors ever, not even allowed a book.
So should he even be there? Court after court has said, no, he shouldn't be there. It's time to bring him back.
And today there's a meeting at the White House going on right now. You've heard Andy Farnsworth talking about it while covering the news for us in the newsroom between El Salvador's president and President Trump.
How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back?
So it sounds like El Salvador's president is saying he has no plans to return this man to the United States. And Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney General, saying it's up to El Salvador.
He was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador. If they want to return him, that's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
Joining us right now, Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst. Greg, what do you make of this? Because it seemed very clear-cut to me when the Supreme Court said, yeah, you've got to return this guy. You deported him. It was wrong. It was a mistake. Now you got to return him. And it sounds like Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is not embracing that.
Yeah, and it's really tragic because her own Justice Department has admitted to the court, to the to the trial court that he was wrongfully deported, that he hadn't committed any crime, that he hadn't done anything that would have justified his deportation. He was not a member of the MS-13 gang. There was no proof of that. And so he was illegally deported. Having said that, he's now in an El Salvador prison, and the president of El Salvador is here visiting with President Trump saying, we have no intention of returning anybody to your country. And they don't have to, Dave. They're a sovereign nation. They don't have to return somebody to our country any more than we have to send somebody to their country. And they've got him in custody there. The United States sent him there under an agreement to house prisoners. But now he's the property, or at least he's in the custody of the El Salvadoran community. And that's where it appears, at least for the time being, he's going to stay.
Well, and Greg, for the backstory of this father of three from Maryland, he immigrated here, my understanding is illegally as a teenager. There were, his family sent him, and I believe his brother here, because of concerns of gang members trying to recruit their children, and so it got him out of that country, got him here, and then in 2019-ish, if I'm getting my dates right, there was a court that gave this man essentially a protective order from being deported through thick and thin. He has this protective order. Well, then he's scooped up by the U.S. government just a few weeks ago in I think it was like an IKEA parking lot, thinking he would get some sort of due process to show that he had this protective order to be in this country, and then I guess didn't get a chance to go before a judge before he was put on a plane and thrown in an El Salvadoran prison.
Right, and all of that was done illegally, according to the trial court. He was given some protected status here as a citizen of a country that he was in danger of living. He was given a temporary protected status here. He should not, by all accounts, have been deported, but he was. And the question isn't any more should he have been, because I think everyone agrees that even the Justice Department agrees that it was illegal. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And El Salvador is saying it's not your problem anymore. He's in our custody, and you, the United States of America, no longer have any jurisdiction over him or any authority to tell us what to do with our prisoners.
Greg, perhaps you can speak to the purpose of us, I guess, using this prison in El Salvador. What is the thinking behind deporting criminals? And that's how they've classified these folks as criminals and housing them. And we are paying El Salvador, I think, $6 million to house somewhere around 200 to 300 prisoners. Why? I mean, this is obviously very new. What's the purpose behind that?
Well, the El Salvadoran government reached out to the United States and probably others because they had built this huge prison. It's it's called CECOT, C-E-C-O-T, which is an acronym for the Terrorism Community Confinement Center. And it was so big, I think it holds something like 20,000 inmates, that they were looking for tenants. They were looking for people to fill it and be able to charge a foreign nation to do that. And so the United States said, yeah, we'll do that. And I think they took 3 airplanes of people there at one point. None of the people in any of those had due process. This man was just hooked up on the streets in Maryland, I think, without anything that even related to a court hearing, and was sent there. But it's a large prison made for terrorists, and the United States is saying, yeah, we've got terrorists in our country, so we're going to put them there, whether they're El Salvadoran or not, just because they're in our country, arguably illegally.
So then the United States loses custody of him. Sounds like, at least that is what I'm hearing from out of D.C., is that they have no authority now to bring him back or to bring him out of this prison in El Salvador. So what? I mean, Greg, you're an attorney. What do you do if you're his attorney? I mean, how do you get him out of that prison, or is he just there for the rest of his life? He'll never see his kids again.
Well, the administration, Debbie, could get him here in 5 minutes. I mean, if they put a 2% tariff on El Salvador, that government would send him here. In fact, their president's here now. But I don't think the administration has any interest in bringing him back. That's a real problem. And I don't know that his attorneys here have any authority, or even the judge that they're dealing with has any jurisdiction to tell the El Salvadoran government what to do. So it's a real problem. I guess they could have the Justice Department, the people that deported him, held in contempt. I don't know what that would look like. They pay a fine or have to apologize, or they're put on some sort of a plan to make sure they don't do it again. But there's almost, I mean, it's sad to say, and this is a little bit of a constitutional crisis in the making here, but I don't know that there's a remedy. I really don't, on a legal basis, on how we can get the El Salvadoran government to return this man.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us, our KSL legal analyst.
Yeah. So he's a Maryland father of 3. He's married, and he's now, I guess for lack of a better word, confined in a prison in El Salvador. And it's been called one of the most notorious prisons in the Western Hemisphere by one of the judges.
And it sounds like the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, the attorney general, they're doubling down, saying this is not just a father of 4 or father of 3, that this was a member of MS-13, a notorious and dangerous gang.
Straight ahead, Dave, you got a text from somebody you know who owns a small business. He says they're going to be impacted by the tariffs that President Trump has implemented out of China. What do you know about that?
Yeah, he's going to break it down how these small businesses here in Utah have been affected, will be affected, and what it looks like when you don't have this spelled out, and it seems like it's changing almost by the day.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Continuing our ongoing coverage of President Trump's 145% tariff on products out of China. Announcing over the weekend that it does not apply to things like smartphones. So, at least for now, no $3,500 smartphone. But that's if you're like big tech. If you're Apple, that applies to you. If you're a small business, you are not so lucky.
Where's your carve-out? Well, it doesn't exist because you don't have the influence. You don't have the lobby to be able to get these carve-outs. So we wanted to reach out to a local company. And I've got a friend of mine, Mark Drennan, who's joining us right now, runs Ace Camp. It's a local company in Midvale. They do camping supplies. Mark, walk us through for a company here in Utah, comparatively to Apple. You know, this is a small company. How have the tariffs impacted you guys?
Well, the tariffs, I guess just yet they haven't impacted us, but they will very soon because we didn't get any warning on these. So, the Trump administration had that first round of taxes the first time they were in, and I thought those would be temporary, and they have not. They've been more than 8 years that we've had those. But let me tell you how it's going to impact us, and I guess it really has impacted me, like just Friday it did. So we had a big order from a customer. They buy from us every year. They buy a whole bunch of pots, and we ship them straight from Shanghai and straight to them. And we're just about ready to ship, and we find out, it's going to cost substantially more. So we always give them a good price. We don't make very much on it. So now the duties go from a low margin to a no margin sale. So I either have to cancel on somebody who ordered a long time ago, or I have to raise the price on them with no warning. So without any time to plan, I can't really do anything for these customers that planned in advance. I get really stuck. So usually when a change to a duty or something happens, you get a warning, usually months of warning, so that you can plan in advance, change your prices if you have to, order in advance. But we don't have time to do that in this case.
And Mark, it went from, it was 10%, then I don't know, I can't even keep track now, 35, 40%. And then as of last week, it bounced up to 145%. What does that do to, your future shipping, your future imports? 145%. I mean, you're it's like whiplash, right?
Yeah, it takes most of the products from being profitable to maybe not profitable or barely profitable when something like that happens. So we have to raise prices or we're in real trouble. Go ahead.
Well, there's a couple different things that go through my mind on this. And when you're a small business and you're watching these big companies, Apple and computers and whatever it might be, get these exemptions and these carve-outs, what's your reaction? What are your thoughts when you see the big guys getting these concessions?
Well, I mean, it's really unfair because they already have many advantages. And so then when they get an extra benefit like that, then they have time to plan, they have time to adjust. And the little guys like us, we don't get any of those benefits. Now, if I were selling phones or phone parts or, the electronic things, I would get that same exemption, even though I'm small, I think. That's what happened in the first round of Trump duties 8 years ago. If somebody got an exemption, then I got it also if my product's qualified. But I couldn't afford, then I was thinking, well, that'd be great. I could ask for an exemption, but I couldn't afford the attorneys to go do it. So I just had to rely on if someone else could do it for me.
Mark Drennan is president of Ace Camp. It is a company. Is it camping supplies, Mark, mainly that your company provides?
Yes.
And out of Midvale, and joining us live right now to talk about the tariffs and the impact on small businesses and a lot of businesses due to the 145% impact tariff on China products. There's been an argument made that bring manufacturing back to the United States. These small businesses any business will just find ways to manufacture their products here in the U.S. I've listened to several small businesses react to that, Mark, and that say it's extremely complicated and very time-consuming. Is that something that you could do as the president of Ace Camp, just bring production back to the United States?
Well, not really. If I could find already makes the kinds of products I'm making, then probably we could do it. But we have a pretty good variety of products, and they're made in a whole bunch of different factories. And those factories make products for me and for hundreds of other small businesses like ours. So there's cost to buy machines, there's cost to buy the tooling, there's tooling is specific fixtures that are needed to make certain products. And those factories have the machines and the tooling already, and they can use them to make my product. Sometimes it needs a slight modification, but most of the cost is shared by their hundreds of customers. So for me to move to the United States, I would need to find someone who either already has that tooling, which is not going to happen, or that we could get hundreds of companies to bring their production here to make it affordable to do it.
One thing that I've heard, and maybe you can walk us through, I've heard of a de minimis exemption, and I think a lot of the small, hey, is this where the clothing company can ship off, shirts and pants, for very cheap because it's such a small order?
Yeah, so the de minimis exemption works for small orders. If it's below $800, then there's no duty if it's shipped to a single person on a single day. So I could get $800 today, $800 tomorrow, $800 the next day, and pay no duties. So companies like Temu and Wish and lots of people on Amazon, they use that.
Yeah.
They take your order, they ship it to you. It takes 3 to 6 weeks, but they're getting out of all those duties. Well, that exemption for China is being closed. And so we don't even have the option to do small orders to get around the duties. Now, I personally think that that's actually better for fair competition to have that exemption closed, but it does take away a way we could try to get around duties.
Mark, final question. If these tariffs stick, what does this do to your business?
If they stick, I don't know if it'll put us out of business or not. It's really we're just barely getting by as it is, and so it's really a little uncertain. If it sticks in the long term and everybody raises prices, then we can make it. And if the big companies are able to shift their production elsewhere and I'm not, then I won't be able to compete and we will go out of business.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mark. I appreciate it because it does. It's sometimes difficult to see the small businessmen here in Utah and how it affects them because we may not be aware of all the ways that we are affected by these tariffs because I'll be honest, I've never once purchased some camping equipment and looked at where this was manufactured. That's not something I take into account. I look at the price. I know the company. I mean, I look at Ace Camp and I'm like, oh, this is local company. I don't really think, oh, are they producing it themselves or are they ordering it from China and then delivering it?
Well, and I've heard people argue, like, look, he said this on the campaign trail that there were going to be tariffs. I think it's been really difficult for businesses to pivot on a dime to the amount that these tariffs have increased over the past 7 days. I think that is the heartburn. It's very difficult to plan business and finance your business when you don't know how much money is going to be going out the door from day to day to day. And at 145% for products out of China, I do think we're going to see businesses, small businesses in particular, struggle and try to figure out how they can stay afloat.
Get ready to join the climb, Jazz fans. It's time to place your season ticket deposits for the 2025-26 season. Place your deposit now and receive priority access to select your seats, exclusive gear, and more. Season tickets give you access to every home game, plus exclusive member-only discounts and benefits. Call or text 801-355-DUNK or go to UtahJazz.com to lock in your deposit for next season.
Everyone needs a checking account, so get the one with built-in benefits to complement your unique lifestyle. Mountain America's My Style Checking has perks no one can pass up. You'll enjoy sizzling restaurant deals, peace of mind mobile phone protection, timely telehealth access, built-in identity protection, and clutch loan rate discounts. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
You know what's better than a limited time deal?
An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Summer is coming and your family wants to enjoy water in an Arctic Spa all-weather pool. Some people call them swim spas, but we call them all-weather pools because it's like a swimming pool that you can use all year long. My family has a tradition of hanging out in our all-weather pool and watching the neighborhood fireworks on New Year's Eve. You can create that family fun time right now with an Arctic Spa all-weather pool in just 2 days for installation. All the fun without the hassle of pool maintenance. Add in our automatic saltwater system to make it even more comfortable and more convenient. With 8 different models with different jet packages and options, specifically designed for Utah's hot summers and cold winters, we have the perfect all-weather pool for you no matter your budget. Come see the Arctic Spa all-weather pools at one of our Arctic Spa stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, or St. George, and online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
Champion out of Real Salt Lake.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments.
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
And unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top local story this hour is a developing one. The South Salt Lake Police Department is asking for help in finding a 12-year-old girl. Police say she left her home with a classmate Saturday afternoon. She was last seen wearing a navy blue Gap hoodie and blue pajama pants with polka dots. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the police department. A man has been arrested after crashing a car while he was reportedly on drugs. Investigators say he also accidentally shot himself in the face earlier that day. Arrest documents from the Utah County Sheriff's Office says Oscar Diaz was riding with his friend's car and playing with a gun when he accidentally fired and grazed his forehead. He crashed the car later in the day and tested positive for meth, ecstasy, marijuana, and alcohol. He's facing multiple charges. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Search teams are back in the Hudson River this morning looking for parts of the helicopter that went down in a tragic crash last week. ABC transportation correspondent Gio Benitez reports.
New York Helicopter Tours, that's the company involved in this deadly accident, said they are shutting down. And dive teams now, they were out here all weekend long in the Hudson River looking into that water, searching for that critical rotor. Cameras captured the rotor system separated from the chopper, falling into the water. Now, crews have been scouring the riverbed using side-scanning sonar. The NTSB revealing that the helicopter's last major inspection was on March 1st.
If the rotor is located, it could provide investigators more information as to what went wrong. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 145 points. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ both gained right around 30 points. And coming up, if you like sun, rain, and snow, you'll like the forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Do you need new windows?
Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business, powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and security edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. What is the #1 reason people buy a hot tub and then don't use it? The maintenance. Arctic Spas is relentless in making maintenance easy with our automatic saltwater system. We call it Spa Boy because it's like having someone else take care of your spa for you all the time. It uses salt water, which is the more natural way of treating water, making the water more comfortable. You get no smell, no red eyes, or dry skin, just pure enjoyment. It's automatic because it has a sensor that reads the water and then automatically adjusts the sanitizer and the pH. You don't have to test and adjust the water yourself. You can even monitor everything from your Arctic Spa app on your phone. Now, get all the relaxing advantages of a hot tub without the not-so-relaxing maintenance. So for the most comfortable and convenient spa out there, check out Arctic Spas with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. We don't have any delays right now across the Wasatch Front. We're also accident-free. We do want to keep it that way. That means everyone should play nice with each other. If you are traveling on I-80 going in and out of Tooele County, just a reminder you have lane restrictions between 5600 and 7200 West, and you also have the construction on Bangor Highway, which occasionally slows people down. Murdoch Chevrolet, home of 2.9% for 6 years on Silverado 1500. A high today of 66 under sunny skies. Partly cloudy tomorrow with 74 for the high, then rain on Wednesdays and Thursday. Could turn to snow by Friday with highs in the 50s. Right now it's 53 degrees and sunny. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, tomorrow is it's tax day. And first thing this morning when we walked into the newsroom to start talking about today's show, it was very clear to me that Dave's got a beef. And he's got a beef with how much it costs to file his taxes. Not that you owed, but the cost to file them.
Okay, I'm a little cranky on a lot of different levels because it was the first time I have had to pay. I've had 4 kids, and we were just raking in, we always had a big return. It was amazing. We loved tax time. We looked forward to it because it was like pulling the slot machine. Let's see how much money we're getting this year. But now my kids have grown. They've moved out. I don't have all these discounts. So now I had to pay. And it was bad enough to pay the federal government. What I didn't expect is how much it was going to cost me to do my own taxes. I've used TurboTax for years. Ever since I began, I've used TurboTax because I have boring, easy taxes to do. And sure, they cost $29 in the beginning. And then, $39, $40, it keeps creeping and creeping and creeping. Well, this year, the grand total for what I consider pretty boring taxes, $238, Debbie.
Which still sounds like a bargain to me because I paid in the neighborhood of $650. Ever since I entered adulthood, I've decided the best course of action for me is to pay somebody to prepare my taxes. So I hire either a CPA or a tax preparer. Well, this year it was $650. Back in the day, it'd be a few $100s. So I have seen the creep as well in terms of the payment that I've had to put out to have somebody else prepare my taxes. But I do it for peace of mind. I'm not a math person. I don't do well with numbers. And I want somebody on my side in case the IRS comes knocking. And they did come knocking several years ago, and we were subjected to an audit. All ended well. We did not owe an extra dime. They said we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. Well, I should give credit where credit's due. Our CPA had made sure all along that we had dotted our I's and crossed our T's. But we knew that if need be, we could call on him to walk over to the IRS building with us and argue our case. Turned out we didn't need him to do that. But I pay for the peace of mind, Dave.
And I'm starting to reconsider because I sat down. It took me an hour and a half, and it cost me $240. I did all the work. I answered all the questions, and then I had to pay for the honor of doing so. Well, then we talked to our producer, Caitlin Johnston, and she paid $14.99. She paid under $15. So my frustration is I just don't know at what point I should be using a professional and when I can do it on my own, because I'll tell you this, I still don't feel terribly confident about what just happened because I don't know what they're asking. There are 21 different 1099 forms. 21. And I'm supposed to understand the difference between them? What's the difference between a 1099 NEC, a K, an INT, right? It can be very overwhelming. So joining us right now, Mike Criddle is a tax partner with Eide Bailly. And Mike, walk me through this. My number one question is there a good rule of thumb of when you can do it yourself and when you should start looking for some professional help?
Well, that's a great question. And it's all a little bit nuanced, but I think generally speaking, for most people that get a W-2, maybe they have a 1099 INT for $14 from their credit union.
Yeah.
Doing it yourself is fine. I don't know that you've risen to the level of complexity where an accountant's really going to drive a lot of value or a CPA is going to drive a lot of value for you. But once you get into the more complicated forms, like if you're trying to take a foreign tax credit, or if you have a bunch of rental properties and you have a complex Schedule E, or if you have a farm, like at that point, there's some just nuances and complexity where a CPA can really drive some value.
Small business owner?
Yeah, like that.
Would that be?
Mm-hmm. And it depends on complexity, right? So if you have a small business where you just get like some consulting income and you really don't have any expenses, maybe that's not a really big deal. But if you're trying to claim an office in your home and you have mileage and you have, a bunch of random expenses and you're like, well, I don't know if that's deductible. I'm not sure if that's deductible. That's where an accountant or a CPA is going to provide a lot of value.
Yeah, I don't have an office in my home. But I've heard from people who do that it can get a little tricky as to like, are you using that 100% of the time for your business, or are you using that as well, like family and friends stop over and you let them sleep over for the night? I mean, are you multi-purposing that room as a living room for your family, or a kitchen or something like that? So you're saying under those circumstances, it might be better to hire somebody who's an expert.
Right, because then they can help you kind of navigate those rules and challenge you on some things that maybe you haven't thought of. Like, oh, maybe I should make a SEP contribution and reduce my self-employment income from my side business. Or maybe, there are some additional expenses related to my home I could pull into my office. But maybe I want to take the simplified method for the office and home to avoid the whole complexity of depreciation and recapturing it someday when I sell my home.
Getting nervous
Yeah.
just thinking about all that.
There are all
I'm just
these kind of
handing you
nuances
cash right now. I'm just like, there you go. I'm just dropping $100 bills down. Roughly 80 million Americans have a side hustle. They have their regular job and then some sort of side hustle. I had one of these things. It was a whopping $600 that I did, but $600, sure enough, that generated the 1099 NEC and so helped me. That's what took me from the free version to not even the deluxe. I think I had to pay the premium because this one needs all the bells and whistles for $600, and it cost me $250 in tax prep software. But for people that are increasingly grabbing a side hustle, grabbing a second job, what are some things you should look out for and start thinking, okay, well, this might become a little bit too complicated for you to do on your own?
Yeah, I mean, none of us want to pay more tax than we're legally obligated to pay, right? But I think there's nuance here. If you have a $500 side hustle, are you going to hire an accountant at, several $100s to help you save $50? Maybe not. But if you have a meaningful side hustle and there's a potential there to save what you pay in fees to a CPA, then I think it can be helpful. And you're looking at things like, the office and home deductions complicated, as Debbie mentioned, but also things like mileage. The whole concept of, do you buy a car in your business, or do you reimburse on a mileage basis or deduct on a mileage basis? Those are nuances that can be really complicated. The other thing is, just challenging what kinds of expenses are legitimate and what kinds are not. Like meals are tricky. Entertainment's tricky. If you're going to take a client to a jazz game, what portion of that is deductible, if any? And so that's where a CPA can really step in, because they spend, their professional career studying these rules and making sure that they understand how to guide clients.
If people have procrastinated and they want to do their taxes now instead of filing an extension, and maybe they have a very simplified tax portfolio, Caitlin, our producer, spent $14.99 filing her taxes through Free Tax USA. Have you heard of that one, Mike?
Yeah. In fact, interestingly enough, I've been kind of listening to music as I've been doing tax returns on YouTube, and I get a Free Tax USA commercial probably once or twice a night. And for those people that have simple tax returns, I think it's a great option. It's online. They say it's free. You pay for the state. You pay for a couple of other things that aren't free. So it's kind of free. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
But it can be a great option and a way to quickly finish a return and file. It's something I would do for my daughter or son who just has a W-2 from their job at Kohl's, and
right.
Easy to file that way.
I get. This is the tax system that we have right now is so incredibly complicated. I know it's thousands of pages, millions of pages probably of tax code and ins and outs, and it's changing. One of the things that stands out to me, and having used tax prep software every single year, I think part of what frustrates me is I would think that I'd be an expert at this point. But there's always changes, and there's always little tweaks every single year that force me to reread the description. Okay, well, what does this mean? And then I'm reading these descriptions as if I have any understanding whatsoever what they're saying, because, again, I'm sure it makes all the sense in the world to an accountant, but to me, the layperson, it is confusing.
It absolutely is, yeah. And one of the biggest things that's been challenging is the rules that are only temporary. So, for example, this whole change in the standard deduction that everyone gets, and the way child tax credits work. And we used to get dependency deductions, and now we don't. But But those rules are only in place through the end of 2025, and then going into 2026, the rules change again, except unless Congress extends those changes. And so it's this constant menagerie of this rule's in effect for a period of time, and then it changes, and then we extend things, and then sometimes we extend things retroactively, and so it just makes it really hard to navigate.
Mike Criddle is a tax partner with Eide Bailey. He's live in studio with us right now on this day before tax day. What if people are jammed up and they can't get these their taxes done tonight? Is there still room for an extension?
Yeah. So the extension form is the 4868. And
you double checking that?
Yeah, I was like,
yes.
Sorry, I know.
No, don't worry about it. I was like,
numbers,
you're just throwing out these numbers. I'm like, oh, I have no way of fact checking you.
Maybe I better check that. No, 4868. So the extension form's form 4868. You can look it up online. You can just print out the extension, write your name, address, and yours and your spouse's social security number, and mail it to the address in the instructions, and you will get an extension.
Is that you have to have it postmarked by tomorrow night?
Yep, you have to have it postmarked by April 15th.
Okay.
And sadly, it is an extension to file, not an extension to pay. So what you get from the extension is you avoid late filing penalties, but you do not avoid interest and penalties on any tax owed. The tax should be estimated and paid in by tomorrow.
I would have had no idea how much I owed until I went to my tax preparer. And he gave me the really, really bad news. Yeah. So I guess you have to just work through some math for me. I've never filed an extension.
So
by
that's
design.
Yeah.
I mean, by design, I don't want to have anything to do with this. But a lot of people need to, have to, want to. So how do you estimate that? Is it like you don't have to give us the whole
No, it's fine.
Math formula?
Most CPAs can probably ballpark it on the back of a napkin just because they do it so much. So if you know one or have a relationship with one, you can say, hey, this is what the numbers look like.
Yeah. So you should know a jeweler, a real estate agent, and a garage door guy. We got a garage door guy now, and now we have to have a friend who's a CPA.
Yeah. And a napkin.
Yeah.
You want to make sure he has a napkin.
But probably a good rule of thumb is you want to make sure your withholding is, at least 15 to 20% of what your W-2 income says.
Okay.
As long as you're in the $100,000 to $150,000 like income level area. If you're higher than that, then it's going to be more than 20%. If you're lower than that, maybe it's 12.
So the rule of thumb is like 20%-ish.
Yeah, for your average tax.
And you're better off to overpay than to underpay.
Well, that's the great thing about extensions, right? You can pay a little bit extra, and then if you didn't need it, you can either have it refunded or you can have it applied to the next year. And they give you credit for it as though you paid it in April, so it can cover your first quarter estimate for next year if you overpay a little bit.
Mike, can I just spring this on you? One of our listeners texted in at 57500 says, ask about direct file. In almost half the states, people can file for free through the IRS website. I don't know that we have that set up in Utah yet. What do you know about that? And if not, we can just look into that here at KSL News Radio.
Unfortunately, I don't know about that, and so I probably can't answer that question.
We'll figure it out an answer to that and get back to our listener on that. Awesome. This person says, I don't have to pay any taxes. Do I have to file the paperwork anyway?
So there's some filing thresholds. So if you're single and you make over the standard deduction, or if you're married and you make over the standard deduction, then you do have to file even
so that'd
if you
be 14 grand-ish if you're single and 18 grand if you're married, correct? Is that standard
I
deduction?
think it's 28.
Oh, sorry,
doubles.
28.
Yeah.
Double.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. See, I don't do math.
But oftentimes, even if you make under those thresholds, you may want to file because there's the earned income credit. And it can be a refundable credit where you get cash back even if you don't owe any tax. So there can be reasons why you might want to file even if you don't have to.
Just a reminder, which one's the earned income credit?
The earned income credit is the one where if you have some earned income and you're below certain thresholds, it usually comes into play when you have kids, but you can get it if you're single or married filing joint without kids. But where at certain income levels, there's a refundable credit that can come back to you to help supplement your income and, your ability to kind of provide for your needs.
One of our listeners said they just paid $390 to have their taxes done. They just paid that this morning. So that's more than what you paid.
I didn't realize I was the bargain
paid.
over here. I'm going to stop complaining about my $238. But, Mike, give us an idea. I mean, obviously, you can have some incredibly expensive, if it's very complicated, your taxes can become very expensive. But can you give us kind of a sliding scale, like comparatively speaking? What should I prepare for if I'm ready? And I'm going to be honest, I might be ready to say goodbye to my online software and start working with a professional because it was just such a headache and I brought up so much doubt. Give me a ballpark of what I should plan for if I'm going to hire someone to do my taxes.
Yeah. So again, it's driven a lot by complexity, but even for kind of the more simple tax returns where you need a professional, so TurboTax maybe isn't a great option, but it isn't really complicated. I think it starts in kind of the $500 to $600 range and then goes up from there. Yeah. Okay. I think for forms or returns that have a lot of forms, like if you're including A, B, C, D, E, F, H, etc., then you're probably going to be $1,000 and up for the preparation of a return.
There was one year I had the alphabet soup of tax.
Yeah, I got all the letters.
Tax return, and it was $1,000.
Yeah.
It was like $950. Even just rounded up to $1,000. Felt like I should give the CPA a tip for that. Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Mike Criddle's a partner with Eide Bailly, and we appreciate you letting us tap into your expertise because it is, I think it can be frustrating. Nobody likes paying, to prepare, doing the work themselves, right? I spent an hour and a half. I'm like, I just paid how much to do this myself? But, it's the kind of the curse of this time of the season. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
It's better than being upstairs preparing taxes, right? You didn't have to walk.
Hey, Wednesday's going to be amazing, Mike.
Wednesday's going to be amazing.
Wednesday's going to be amazing for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's estimated that like 20,000 people gathered at the Huntsman Center at the University of Utah last night to see Senator Bernie Sanders and also Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speak.
Thank you, Utah!
And with so many thousands of people gathered there, it made me ask the question, where do the Democrats go from here? Live analysis next.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or It's Free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The season is officially over for the Utah Jazz, and they can officially say they had the worst record in the NBA this year. But their record does guarantee them a top 5 pick in this year's NBA draft. Jazz head coach Will Hardy spoke after their game yesterday.
The situation that we're in is one that, I'm excited about. I think helping grow these young players is our best path forward.
While the Jazz will pick no later than 5th, they only have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. They will learn for sure where they'll be picking in the NBA draft lottery on May 12th. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 6 women are back on Earth after launching in a capsule owned by the space tourism company Blue Origin.
Screams of joy on board Blue Origin's New Shepard. 6 women, including singer Katy Perry and TV host Gayle King, now back on Earth as astronauts. Journalist, author, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, saying,
"You look back at Earth, and it's like this beautiful jewel. It was quiet. It felt like it was breathing."
They had an 11-minute ride into space. They felt weightlessness and then descended back to Earth. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 190 points. The S&P is up 25. And coming up, sunny skies. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
We love talking about Utah companies, and this one has been around since 1954, Master Electrical Service. You've probably seen their vans driving around in your neighborhood. Well, we have some very exciting news. Master Electrical Service has joined forces with Mountain Home Services.
And I had a moment this weekend, Dave, when I was actually sanding a cabinet. So I plugged my sander into my garage wall, and it wouldn't work. And I was like, oh no. Well, no worries. I'll just give Mountain Home Services a call tomorrow and let them know what's going on. Well, it turns out you have to turn the thing on. Completely
small little detail.
It did end up working, but how great is it to know that this is your go-to if you do run into a problem with a light switch or an outlet? Mountain Home Services is your one-stop shopping, not only for your electrical needs, but so much more.
HVAC, your heating and air, plumbing, water quality, you name it, they can take care of it. Just go ahead and reach out to them. It all comes with this upfront pricing guarantee, no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee. And remember, Master Electrical Service has been the name you trust since 1954, and so do we. So you can make sure you reach out to them now that they're combined forces with Mountain Home Services.
Yeah, mountainhomeservices.com is the website, mountainhomeservices.com.
Or their phone number, 801-543-2222. One more time, 801-543-2222.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Ricky Meeks.
In Utah County, we had a nasty accident on Pioneer Crossing. This was affecting traffic mostly on the westbound side near the Jordan River Parkway, had been blocking a lane. That's been cleared, and we do have traffic moving through the area once again. Also, an accident that just pulled away southbound I-15 near Pioneer Crossing to the left, and again, that's now open and no other problems. But again, if you see anything on the roads, text us at the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunshine today with a high of 66. Temperatures back in the 70s tomorrow and Wednesday before a storm moves in and cools things down to 60 on Thursday. Right now it is 54 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Look, it's the second weekend in a row that I've watched either rallies or protests. One at Utah's Capitol Hill last weekend, and then last night up at the University of Utah, the rally with Senator Bernie Sanders, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of Democrats.
Thank you, Utah!
And both of these events, if you will, have made me wonder, like, where do the Democrats go from here if they hope to regain power, regain the White House?
Yeah, and what's their message? And Bernie Sanders came with a very strong message. It was fight oligarchy. The select handful, as he says, of billionaires that are truly running this country, obviously pointing a very strong finger toward Elon Musk and his influence in the White House right now with Trump and his relationship. But the fight the oligarchy is the new rallying cry for Bernie Sanders.
The crowd chanted and cheered as Sanders made his message clear.
We do not want a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, for the billionaire class. We want a government that represents all of us, not just the 1%.
He criticized the Trump administration and the billionaires who attended his inauguration, including Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez also claimed Utah's lawmakers helped pass bills the Trump administration has used to cut Medicare and veteran benefits, all to give billionaires a tax break.
They know that it hurts working families from Utah, but they know that they are not there to serve the working class.
The pair encouraged Utahns to get involved and work with grassroots organizations. Salt Lake City was the 8th stop on their continuing tour. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Now, what I find so rich about this messaging is we're against the billionaires. Well, when? At what point were you against the billionaires? Now, I'm not talking specifically to Bernie Sanders. He actually returned like $500 when a billionaire tried to contribute to his campaign. He doesn't take campaign donations from billionaires. So he walks the walk. But Republicans and Democrats absolutely live on billionaires' donations. In fact, Forbes did a great analysis. The Harris campaign had 83 billionaire backers. Trump had 52 billionaire backers. That's staggering. At what point are we not on board with the billionaires? Because Washington has always been about the billionaires.
Well, ever since the election, losing the election last November, the Democrats have been kind of struggling to find a middle ground. And Bernie Sanders is an independent now, but as you were saying in the break, he still caucuses with the Democrats. But yet I think this brings up the point of, like, what is their message? And will that message stick? Leah Murray, co-host of Inside Sources, also the director of the Walker Institute of Politics at Weber State University, joining us live on the conversation. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
I look at the turnout for the hands-off protest up at the state capitol, and of course there were protests all over the United States last weekend, but the turnout here was good sized. I mean, it was thousands of people. Then you see the turnout last night on a Sunday night up at the University of Utah for Bernie Sanders and also AOC, and it made me wonder, like, are they going to be able to get the band back together enough to really, they got to find a message, Leah, if they hope to compete in the midterms and then in the next presidential election.
Yeah, and I actually think that fighting the oligarchy is a perfect message. What we've seen in the early special elections, right, like in Florida and in Wisconsin, even when the Republican wins, they're not winning by as much. Like we would have expected the Florida members to win by a lot more, and they didn't. And in all of those elections, talking about how wrong Elon Musk is was a winning message, right? So it's like Democrats cannot figure out how to talk about Donald Trump. They don't know how to message at him, but they have figured out that people really don't like Elon Musk very well. So if he serves as a proxy and they can attack Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, right, that might actually be a winning message for them in 2026.
Leah, I'm just shaking my head because it's the billionaires that fund these campaigns. I mean, we are looking at Kamala Harris burned through $1.5 billion in 15 weeks. There are dozens and dozens of billionaires that are funding campaigns all across the nation. So to point at the Republicans and their billionaires, it feels disingenuous.
It might be disingenuous, but remember, President Trump had Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg sitting behind him in frame during the inauguration. So it's kind of like one thing to take money from billionaires, and your point earlier that Bernie walks the walk on this is fair, right? But it's one thing to take money. It's another thing to have Elon Musk running all over the country, right, like with a chainsaw. That's a very public-centered billionaire. Every time you're talking, that is easy to attack.
What about the turnout last night up at the Huntsman Center? Was that on your radar at all? Is it impressive? Is it just to be expected? Because Utah is largely a conservative state, yet 2 weekends in a row we've seen literally thousands of people turn out. And last night's a school night, a work night, and yet the Huntsman Center was packed. Or is it just because Bernie Sanders is such a draw?
Well, gosh, I think it might be that, because if you remember in 2016, maybe not, but like the Democratic primary, Bernie Sanders ran against Hillary Clinton, and the night of that primary in a state where you wouldn't think there were that many Democrats, there were lines out the door to get into caucus meetings, right? Like to be able to choose Bernie Sanders. So I do think he is a major draw. I think his message of fighting the oligarchy is a better message than we've heard, right? So I do think Democrats have got to be frustrated, especially in Utah, because they're not winning anything, right? So it's not even like national level, Democrats are losing. Utah, they never win. Bernie gives them something to believe in. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of messaging. So I wasn't surprised at the numbers who showed up last night.
The messaging to me is interesting because the initial messaging was Trump's a dictator, threat to democracy. That didn't resonate. So it feels like now we're moving down to the next level. Now it's all about the oligarchy. We're just moving down the list of what resonates today, because for years it was Trump's a dictator, and that was rejected.
Yeah, no, right. I think actually Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a couple of months ago said Democrats have been too reflexively anti-Trump, right? So she figured out kind of like that messaging's not working, and we should be talking about the working class. We should be talking about a shrinking middle class, that our messaging should be more economic in its focus. So I'm also not surprised she's on this tour with him, right? Like I think I don't think many Democrats really wanted to acknowledge that there was a problem, right, in the way that they were talking about policies and their total obsession with only talking about Donald Trump as a dictator. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is someone who's on the record going, that's not working. Maybe we should talk about something else. So I don't know. I mean, your point's fair. Like maybe it's like, what's the next message? Yeah. But I think it's possible this is, you know what I mean, Dave, a little bit more reflective than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Leah, thank you so much for joining us, co-host of Inside Sources, the director of the Walker Institute of Politics at Weber State University, and my personal favorite poli-sci professor. So thanks, Leah.
Straight ahead. President Trump's 145% tariff on China, it does not apply to smartphones. We learned that over the weekend, making that announcement over the weekend, and it's had you ring in your hands, right, Dave? You don't like the carve-out.
I hate the carve-outs. It just feels like if you're a big enough company, if you have enough money, if your lobby is strong enough, then you get the benefit. You get the win, when all the other small Utah companies are taking it in the teeth.
So we asked Brian Enton of News Nation to join us next with the latest developments on this carve-out.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For 3 decades, Salt Lake Running Company has provided Utah with quality gear for everything from running to everyday comfort, offering top-tier equipment and supportive shoes for any activity. Founder and CEO Guy Perry joins us with more.
Salt Lake Running Company is celebrating its 30th anniversary. We are passionate about helping people live movement-inspired lives and supporting our active community. The Salt Lake Running Company staff are extensively trained to provide custom shoe fittings and assist in selecting the right gear to help people have their best workout. We also help people get into comfortable shoes who work on their feet all day or are traveling. Salt Lake Running Company's award-winning customer service is supported by a free rewards program, seminars, clinics, and shoe demo events to help educate and empower people to move their bodies. We love to see all kinds of people. It's inspiring to connect with people no matter where they are in their active lifestyle journey. When we first started, it was only the fanatics who were out running and going to the gym. Now it's the norm, and we couldn't be happier. Learn more at slrc.com today.
Salt Lake Running Company is a valued part of the community, supporting active lifestyles with expert advice and quality gear. Their dedication to customer service, education, and events has made them a trusted resource for runners, walkers, and outdoor enthusiasts across Utah. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, over the weekend, it was announced by the White House that the 145% tariff on China products that we've been talking about for the last few days, at least last week on the show, will not apply to smartphones, that there is, in fact, going to be a carve-out. Even if it's temporary, there will be a carve-out.
Carve-outs are the worst. they're the worst in on just about any level. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you're running the kindergarten class, in the middle of nowhere. Carving out and treating this group differently than that group, applying the rules to some but not others, is just so inherently wrong. I don't know how we have any patience for it, but we love it. We love it in our taxes, our tax system. We love it in our tariffs now, apparently, because, iPhones? Oh, you know what? Let's carve out the iPhone because iPhone's pretty popular. How about the new Switch 2?
Brian Etten of News Nation live on the line with us. Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, good morning. You're right. I mean, it seems like everything has a carve-out these days, but I think it's politics. Look, the experts were speculating that the cost of an iPhone could go up to $2,300. I mean, can you imagine every American having to spend over $2,000 for an iPhone and how that would make them feel about the president? So it sounds like he just had a meeting in the Oval Office, and then he was just on camera speaking, President Trump. He said that he had spoken with Tim Cook and other tech CEOs, and it's gotten a little confusing. Friday they made the announcement the tariffs will not apply to some of these electronics, but now we're learning there's going to be an additional semiconductor tariff coming. When exactly, we don't know, but it's certainly hard to keep track of all of this.
That's part of what was so wild is we're trying to follow this over the weekend. And of course, it always happens over the weekend. But when they started saying, oh, no, we're going to just put this into a different bucket. Is this other bucket similar to what they're doing with cars, where they say, okay, listen, cars are going to have a 25% tax here, and then everything else is going to be 10 except China. What does this bucket even mean?
It's a good question. Basically, what happened Friday is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they lifted the reciprocal tariffs on the electronics like the iPhone. So people took that as, okay, Trump is backtracking. The 20% fentanyl tariff, which a lot of people don't even know about, still applied because they're trying to punish China for all the drugs coming into our country. So that's where things stand now. There's just the 20% fentanyl tariff that applies to these Chinese-made iPhones. But again, now we've got the semiconductor tariff that we thought was going to be announced today. Seems like it might come later this week. That could apply to the iPhones. But then at the same time, President Trump today said he's been having these closed-door meetings with Tim Cook, who, by the way, also, this was crazy, they flew these cargo flights from India to the U.S. with 1.5 million iPhones on these flights, trying to sneak them in to bypass the tariffs. So, again, there's so much going on when it comes to the electronics specifically. It's hard to figure out exactly what it's going to mean for the everyday consumer.
Brian Etten joining us live. He's with News Nation, giving us the latest on the 145% tariff on China products. Mike Drennan, I know you don't know him, Brian, but let me just set this up for you. He is a president of a company called Ace Camp, which is located in Utah. It's like they sell camping gear, and he joined us early on the show talking about the impact the tariffs have had on his business, and particularly really cited the uncertainty that he feels about how much the tariffs are actually going to cost his company. Let's listen.
Yeah, it takes most of the products from being profitable to maybe not profitable or barely profitable when something like that happens. So we have to raise prices or we're in real trouble. I don't know if it'll put us out of business or not. It's really, we're just barely getting by as it is. It's really a little uncertain. If it sticks in the long term and everybody raises prices, then we can make it. And if the big companies are able to shift their production elsewhere and I'm not, then I won't be able to compete and we will go out of business.
Brian, I stand corrected. His name is Mark Drennan. He's a president of a company called Ace Camp here in Utah. As the White House, have you heard at all acknowledge the concern that small businesses have about these tariffs and what it could do to their business?
Yeah, it's such a good point because from the people we've spoken to, I mean, it is the small businesses right now that could suffer the most and are the most nervous. I mean, they don't get to have these closed-door meetings with Trump like Tim Cook and other CEOs and secretly fly their product on these secret cargo flights. Basically, the administration, they put a 90-day pause on a lot of the tariffs while they try and negotiate with these countries. So that may help some of these small businesses in the short term, and hopefully there will be some kind of agreement. But they've said over and over again that there is going to be pain. And you've heard President Trump make the comparison to like a sick patient in the hospital. You're sick before you get better. And there have been some positive developments today. I don't know if you heard about this, NVIDIA, which is one of these semiconductor companies, a really, really big one. They've now announced that they're going to build this 1 million square foot facility in Arizona, also a facility in Texas. This is something that's never happened before. These semiconductors, for the most part, have been built overseas in places like China. So that's what Trump wants to see happen. Whether that's enough to really make the tariffs worth it, and whether it will happen fast enough that some of these businesses, like the small business owner that you spoke to, don't suffer, I think that's what we don't know yet.
Brian Inton, thank you so much for joining us, senior national correspondent with News Nation.
But for all intents and purposes, these tariffs are here to stick. I mean, we don't know. Now, there's been a lot of moving parts with this. I mean, 1 minute's 10%, and the next, within a few days, is 145%. But we don't have any indication that he's going to completely roll back these tariffs. It seems at this point that he's trying to use it as a negotiating tool.
And as Mark was describing what this means for small businesses, he said, listen, we're not working on these huge, fat profit margins. These are fairly narrow margins. And when you raise the prices, he's like, which is kind of scary. He's like, if everybody raises their prices, we'll probably be fine. But if it ends up being, it all depends on who does your manufacturing. If it's done in Cambodia, if it's done in Vietnam versus China, then that puts you out of business. And that's where, these carve-outs for the big companies has got to be so disheartening.
So I think one of the things that could come of this is that these small businesses who do most of their manufacturing in China, and we did ask Mark, like, how plausible is it to just do what like NVIDIA is doing and just bring a manufacturing plant to Arizona or to Texas and just fire up the machines and get your camping gear cranked out. And he's like, it's not really. It's not really. So I think what we're going to see is these small businesses, as they struggle to survive and figure out new ways of doing business, is they will figure out ways to sell outside of the country. So you'll have an American-run company that's customer base is blossoming from outside of America. Because why would you import something that's going to cost you more than the product, itself, that you're going to be able to make on the product? You wouldn't. You would be out of business in no time and severely in debt. So I think what these companies are going to have to do is find ways, if they have that capability of manufacturing, remaining in China, and then shipping it to other countries to sell.
It was interesting when Salt Lake Chamber Chair Derek Miller joined us. He said, we have been taking tours in the past around the world to find manufacturing. It's like we're going to have to start looking in states, in America, to look around and see if there are viable alternatives to pick up a lot of this manufacturing that was done overseas.
I'm going to play a little sound bite from his interview earlier with us.
Utah businesses, 99% of them are small businesses. So this is important to our state's economy. And not only that, but so many of those small businesses are actually exporters. It may surprise you to learn that Utah is a top 10 exporting state. It would not surprise you to learn we are not on a seaport. And the Great Salt Lake doesn't count. So when you think about a state in the middle of the Rocky Mountains exporting to the extent of being top 10 in the nation, it means that not only are small businesses important to us, but trade is really important to us.
And we'll see what that looks like in the coming days if there are more and more changes. Coming up next, the Department of Justice says Utah State University has taken steps to address some of their Title IX concerns on campus. Maria Chaleos is up next on Utah's New News.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're driving to work or you're driving the kids to a soccer game, we're your in-car companions.
People will come up to me and say, I talk to you every day. You don't realize it because I'm talking at the radio, but I talk